Good afternoon, Keith Tebow from FRCmedia. Thank you for joining us today. It's been a little while since we've checked in with how the business climate has been shaping up here on the South Coast and in Greater Fall River. So I'm pleased to be joined, as we have been many times over the past year remotely, by the co-CEOs of the One SouthCoast Chamber, Rick Kidder and Michael O'Sullivan. Gentlemen, how are you?
We're doing great. How are you?
I am doing well. Things are picking up, and that's why we wanted to do this update. It's been a while since we've spoken. I believe it was early May since the last time we spoke about how things are happening within the local business community and how businesses are hopefully recovering from the pandemic. It's been a little over a month since the Commonwealth has fully reopened. It was the end of May. So, Rick, let me just put it to you point blank. How are our businesses faring with reopening since the end of May to today?
Well, Keith, while we still have some of the same challenges that we had before with restaffing, getting places staffed up, the reality is that the business seems to be booming. People had a lot of pent-up energy to get out. I had an opportunity to be in Fall River on 4th of July for the fireworks. There were thousands of people there. And the business community is experiencing the same kind of fascinating resurgence. People had that pent-up energy to do things. And so I think what we're seeing is the business community is doing well and is going to continue to do well. And if they can fully staff up, they'll do really well.
Yeah. Mike, I want to ask you the same type of question. You're based in Fall River. What are you seeing in terms of where your point of view is?
Very much the same way Rick just described. There was clearly a very large pent-up demand. So businesses are doing well, but there's some that are still having those staffing issues, which makes it difficult to provide the level of customer service that many of the businesses and restaurants were used to providing.
Mike, let me follow up with that with you. We talked about last time that, a number of people were benefiting, those who were unemployed from the pandemic, from the additional stipend, if you will, from the federal government in terms of unemployment assistance. That's going to end in September. Mike, are you still seeing that as a reason, or are people, because there's so many openings out there, are people just really, weighing their options in terms of getting back to work?
I think people are weighing their options, but it's still an issue. I mean, I think in September, if there's no extension of the stipend, I think we'll see more people get back to work, which is what we're hoping, that there is no additional extension and that the people get back to work. But there are other reasons why people are not coming back to work. Childcare is another one. Childcare, a lot of people learn that they can survive without working and spending, a lot of money on childcare. And even though some people were still netting more salary than they were spending on childcare, I think they recognize that the sun still comes up the next day, whether they worked or not, and they kind of figured it out. So there's a lot of people that have made the decision, at least for now, that they're not going to go back to work. So it's changed things dramatically.
And I think I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Rick. Sure.
One other change that's taken place, although the $300 is still there, the Commonwealth has reinstated the requirement that people demonstrate that they have looked for work. I just looked at the latest numbers in New Bedford, for example, and we have about 4,000 job seekers roughly, and we have 7,000 open positions. So it's going to be very interesting to watch this all play out. But we do know that with the requirement now back, that people are able to demonstrate that they have sought employment from at least 3 different potential employers. That I think is going to start to move the needle a little bit.
Yeah. Let me focus a little bit on some of the specific sectors that are very important here on the South Coast, particularly this time of year. One being tourism. We've talked about that hospitality and tourism took a hit probably the biggest hit in our region over the past year because of the pandemic. Rick, let me just ask you, how are those sectors faring as we, recover through the summer? Are they seeing good numbers as we begin, really begin still the summer season?
And actually, yes, they are seeing good numbers. Our hotels are starting to see significant occupancy. One of the measurements is called RevPAR, which is revenue per available room, and we've seen that RevPAR through the spring and into the summer is starting to get higher. That means room rates are starting to get higher, and that's a function of demand. So we're starting to see that our hotels are hitting their occupancy expectations. We've had in New Bedford, we had one major opening here, the Cisco Brewery facility, which is just a wonderland. People are adoring it, and good luck getting in. It is packed. But even that operation had, as recently as a week before opening, 75 open positions that it could not fill. So they're having to scale back some of the things that they do. I was talking with somebody last night who went to Hershey, Pennsylvania, to the Hershey Park. And Hershey Park is now open from basically 11 a.m. to about 6 p.m. They've cut their hours dramatically because they can't staff it. So, yes, we're starting to see a real resurgence in tourism. Our restaurants have done really well with outdoor dining. And the fact that has been continued is something that is a real benefit. So I think you're going to see some significant recovery in that sector.
You stole my next question. This was going to be Mike's question. Mike, I'll have you answer it anyway. Particularly when it comes to, say, some of our restaurants in the Fall River area, they were able to benefit from some of the COVID regulations to allow them to offer dining outside, and that has continued. Have you seen, especially in Fall River, some of that impact and that growth, if you will, in terms of our local restaurants?
The restaurants that have outdoor dining are doing well. They've managed to do very, very well, and it's helped a lot. So much so that they really want to find ways. They're asking us to work with them to find ways to help that they can continue to have outdoor dining in the future.
All right, let me go to another item that's actually deals specifically with your organization, One SouthCoast Chamber. I know we spoke last year and earlier this year about your membership, on how last year you gave members a break in terms of their renewals. Rick, how has membership fared now that businesses are getting back and looking to network and looking to find opportunities? How's membership been at the chamber?
Membership continues to be strong, and we believe that we're going to emerge from this and continue to be at least the second largest chamber in the Commonwealth. We know that some businesses that ran into some challenges last year have yet to recover. We know that for some of those businesses, paying their dues is not going to be on the top of their list. We get it. So we are working really hard to bring folks back. We're also working really hard if in fact we have to say goodbye to them for a time to keep that door open for the future. So we are doing well with membership. We're meeting our own expectations, which is pretty much what we want to do from a budgetary perspective. But obviously we are looking to grow, and we're looking to recover fully too.
Are there any other incentives available for particularly new members, or maybe some of those lapsed members coming back?
We had for the lapsed members that came back, we did actually do a couple of things. First thing we did was, if they didn't pay us during 2020, we just wiped that off. So we kind of begin from scratch at that point. In other cases, we worked with them with a series of incentives that are really more marketing based to help them make the decision to return to the organization. That worked in part, and we're going to continue to work and to be innovative to see if we can, to make sure that we can recapture as much of our market as we can. Yeah.
And Mike, I want to shift focus to a little bit of a Fall River issue when it comes to what the chamber's been involved with. The Fall River Arts and Culture Coalition, which was started almost about a year ago, I guess, to look at how the city of Fall, looking at how the city can can develop its arts and culture, and that's been something that the chamber has been heavily involved with. I know we spoke last year about a study that was going to be conducted by an outside organization, Civic Moxie. What's the status of that study, and when can we expect to see some plans coming forth?
Well, Keith, it's actually FRAC is now over 2 years old, which is amazing. But Civic Moxie's been working hard with us, and just in speaking to many folks in the community and working on some goals and setting up the plan. Right now, it appears the plan will be released sometime in September. We haven't set a date, but sometime in mid-September. And it's got a lot of focus. It's interesting because there's been a couple surveys that were done 5-7 years ago, and by the Community Foundation, and a lot of crossover in some of the topics. There's just housing is an issue, which a lot of people, when you're looking at an arts and culture survey, you don't realize it, but housing is an issue for artists. But it's filling vacant stores. It's utilizing arts and culture to really create momentum in the community, which we've done. We've got a lot of great stuff happening, and it's crossover with the city, crossover with lots of different organizations. But we've been helping the city when the city's been doing their drive-ins. FRAC has been a part of that, has been a part of those initiatives, which has been a lot of fun. We're directly involved this week in the tomorrow at Griffin Park. The Narrows is sponsoring free Wednesdays in the park, and it's going around the city in all the different parks. The Narrows is the leader in that, but Fall River Arts and Culture, and of course the Narrows is a big member of Fall River Arts and Culture. So we're working on a lot of things like that, but we're excited for the plan, which is really focusing on the long term.
Right, and I'm sure you're also working with the TDI partnership, right? In terms of partnering with downtown, and again, that's part of that whole look, right? Filling those storefronts that may be available, and arts may be a way to do that, right?
Yeah, there's the arts and TDI. The arts is really a citywide initiative. TDI is more of a district initiative, the downtown district, but the two organizations are constantly working together, just talking about opportunities, ways to make things work. I know I think you may be doing something on it in later this week, but we've got the artisan and the artisans market coming. That's a growth from Winterbridge, which we did back in February and March, and was very successful at Gramada Plaza. Then they did We Heart Fall River at Old 2nd Street in May. And now we're going to have the Fall River Artisans Market, which is just going to be a great thing. It's going to happen, I think, every other Sunday at Old 2nd Street. So there's a lot of good stuff that's happening and growing, just organically.
Yeah. And one other item I want to bring up for Rick, for you to take the lead on this. The Chamber has also announced its partnership in terms of overseeing Leadership South Coast, which has been around for many years. I was telling Rick before, Michael, I'm a proud graduate of Leadership South Coast 2013. Rick, thank you. Rick, talk about that partnership and how the Chamber can help benefit this very important local institution.
It is. Mike and I had the pleasure and the privilege of serving on the board of Leadership South Coast. And so we've been kind of intimately involved with the organization for some time, although neither one of us is as yet a graduate. Leadership South Coast really plays a key and pivotal role in building leadership capacity throughout this region. And at one point, there was a conversation about Leadership South Coast coming under the umbrella of what was then the New Bedford Chamber Foundation. And we made the decision mutually that it was probably a poor idea because at that point, they were looking to make certain that their footprint encompassed the entire South Coast. once we came together as an organization, just about everybody kind of intuitively saw that there was a real opportunity here for Leadership South Coast to grow its programming, to grow what it was doing by working with and through the chamber. So when Ken Downing, who was their very capable executive director, made the decision to move on to another position, the board of Leadership South Coast and the chamber began to have conversations about how Leadership South Coast could live in the future. And for it to be now kind of within the chamber family is something we think is just an absolute feather in our caps. We look at it as one of the greatest possibilities for building leadership capacity throughout this region, and its footprint and our footprint are nearly identical. So we are looking to enhance, to allow to grow, and allow to mature what is an absolute crown jewel for this region. So we could not be happier, Keith.
Yeah. So a lot of things happening at the One South Coast Chamber and on the South Coast in general, business climate, and it's definitely good to hear, no doubt about that. Rick Kidder and Michael O'Sullivan, co-CEOs of the One South Coast Chamber, and also part of our FRCmedia production, our One South Coast Chamber Business Connection, which we produce monthly here at FRCmedia. Check that out when you have the opportunity. Gentlemen, thank you for joining me. We'll talk again soon. Take care.
Thank you.
All right. And thank you for joining us here today in FRCmedia. I'm Keith Tebow. Have a great rest of your day.